Yeah, first of all, I wanted to just say thank you for the opportunity to the Dallas Star staff. I think it's going to be a good challenge, a good opportunity for me. Thanks to Whitey, Jim, and Tom there. It's just to show the confidence in me, and I love Texas. Been there for 6 years, so I think it's going to be it's going to be a fun challenge for me, like I said. And I just so grateful to be able to be part of that staff again. So thanks a lot. And Whitey, yes, I was laughing when you said I was fairly old also.
All right, well, with that, we'll open it up to questions. If you have a question, please use the raise your hand function, and we'll start off with Stephen Meserve. Stephen?
Hey, Max. First of all, good job keeping your cards close to your chest when we talked last week and not tipping off on this one. But yeah, just wanted to ask you about, I asked Whitey kind of the same question, the process for you, the process to make this decision to come back to Texas.
Yeah, for me, I've always kind of thought that coaching would be a good path for me. Been thinking about that for a couple of years now, and it actually I think started for me when my first year in Texas. I think I was talking to Whitey about that a couple of weeks ago, where being there as an older player for the first time, I guess, in my career, where I got to have a little more input. I was with Glenn Gulletson at the time, and he had he would ask for a lot of input on his older players. So that's where I kind of started to realize a little bit, to get to know a little bit more of the other side of the game. So I've always really liked that part, trying to work with the younger kids also, and at the same time trying to teach them the ropes of how do you act in the locker room, how do you have to act on the ice in different situations, and it's a part of the game that I really like. So I'm really excited for this challenge.
You mentioned Gully, obviously Willie, we talked about last week. Are there any particular coaches that you had in your career that you really want to model your coaching career after, whether that's ways you interact with the players or ways that you handle the game?
I think, well, personally, I've always thought that I've always had good relationships with all the coaches I've had. So I can't say I had a bad experience, and from that, I think I was able to gain a lot of I guess experience, but get to know different aspects of coaching, and from different characters, from different people. So trying to be myself, maybe take a little bit here and there from each one of them. But I got coached by Alain Vigneault and Scott Arniel, those guys when in my early days in the American Hockey League. Tom McClellan was in there too. So they're guys that made their way in the American Hockey League and then into the NHL, and from that you learn so much just by watching them and watching what they're doing and how they're acting with different players in different situations. So I'm still gonna be myself, but you still kind of take from here and there from different coaches that you've had in the past.
And then just Whitey mentioned, you obviously joked about the age of the crew overall. I think you're the oldest at 37. So what benefits does that bring, do you feel, being so recent in your career and having been in playing action to dealing with these 18 to 25-year-olds?
For sure. I think, and to the age thing, actually, Travis Morin just sent me a message earlier to kind of thank me to replace him as the older coach on the coaching staff now. So he was really happy about that one. And but yeah, to be able to relate to those players, haven't been in that situation, that the situation they're in now, and trying to make it to the big leagues, and even from guys coming from the East Coast to the American League, trying to make their way there. I've been there too, trying to fight for a spot every night on the roster. So I think it'll be good for those players to have a younger staff where they can actually relate on how to act, I guess, how to be a professional player. And I hope we'll be able to work really good as a group, as a coaching staff, to to really get to the point and to those players. And you have to know every player is different, every player has a different mindset, and try to really pinpoint which technique or tactics work with different players. So it'll be our job to do that for sure.
Next, we'll go to Saad Youssef. Saad?
Hey, Max. What's your communication been like with Neil so far, and what are your impressions of Neil?
Yeah, so first, after talking with Whitey for, a couple weeks ago, one of the first things he wanted us to do was actually to get on a phone call to actually just kind of talk and get to know each other a little bit on the phone. The good thing is I've played with a lot of guys that had him as a teammate, and I've heard so many good things about him for guys that had him as a teammate and even as an assistant coach. So you always the hockey world is such a small world that you always find somebody who knows somebody. So it was easy for me to kind of get a little feeling on what type of person he was. So that was a really good thing. We had a good conversation on the phone, trying to get to know a little bit of our families, of our backgrounds. So it was that was the first steps that we did, Neil and myself.
Next, we'll go to Mike Heika. Mike?
Hey, Max. One, how has learning changed in your 18 years, just, with all the advent of technology now? And how's the game changed? Are people playing it differently, and do you have to teach it differently now?
For sure it has changed. 18 years is a long time. So, and back then it was, teams, and especially in the American Hockey League, teams were older. When I first started, I think the average age on in my team was probably 30 or something. And now that I'm guessing the average age in the American Hockey League is probably 23 or 24. So it's a big difference. And even in the day-to-day life, we see like the younger kids now have a different way of seeing life than we did back then. So, and it's the same thing for hockey. They have different mentalities than we used to do. So trying to really pinpoint, like I said, what works with different characters and different people is going to be a good task for us, for the coaching staff. But it's changed for sure. Even the game has changed. We all know that the game is getting faster and faster. Guys are really more skilled. And at the same time, you need to make sure that guys are able to understand a proper system, when they get on the ice, and then trying to also be a leader, trying to figure out ways to be a good leader in the locker room. And it's little things like that I'm going to try to bring every day in the locker room.
Next, we'll go to Sean Shapiro. Sean?
Hey, Max, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
You and I talked about this 5-6 years ago when you were a player, but you're joining a small fraternity of black coaches now in hockey, and I'm curious if that holds any weight for you, and if you think about that at all.
Yes, it's for me, it's I guess it's who I am, but there's not a whole lot of black coaches, I guess, in hockey and professional hockey. So I'm really happy if I'm paving the way for some guys coming before me. And I know there's other guys that were there, but in front of me. Like I had the chance to be coached by Paul Gerard, and then after that, you see a guy like Joel Ward, who's coaching with the Silver Knights now. So it's a big thing for sure for the black community and for the minority community. But at the same time, I know that that's not why they hired me. I know it's I'm guessing it's more for my qualities, and I hope it's from that's from what me and talking with Scott White, my qualities as a person. That's what I've always tried to bring everywhere I went, and so I think that's what counts in all of this.
Well, and one of the reasons they probably did hire you too, just you're an expert on this league. I mean, you went from Iowa to Manitoba to when you look back on how this league has changed, what are kind of the lessons you take from the playing career about what the AHL has evolved from to it is now?
Yeah, it's evolved. I mean, guys are, closer and closer than like to the NHL. I think before, like, if you look at the early 2000s, there was a lot of guys who were, older and on the end of their careers. And now there's a lot of guys coming up and trying to make it to the NHL, and they know they have a chance. And for us, it's up to us to really give them the tools to really, play at their full capacity in the American Hockey League, and to let them know that it's a really good league, and it's good to be there. It's a good step. It's the best step to make it to the NHL. So it's for us to let them know that they can still perform at this level, and good things can happen from being in the AHL.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Matt DeFranks. Matt?
Hey, Matt, congratulations. When
Thank
did you realize that you wanted to be a coach?
I think, like I said earlier, like from my years of playing, especially starting in my first year in Texas, when I started to be a little closer to, I guess, to Glenn Gullison as a coach there, when he would ask for the leader groups, I guess, input on different situations on the ice, and that's where I started having more conversations with him, on different aspects of our team, trying to make our team better. And for me, when I saw that we even, we had a team. I remember that year we had a team that was good, but we didn't think we would, probably make it to the finals like we did. And just the way that they kind of set up our team, really talked to the guys and kind of made us believe in ourselves. And that's kind of what kind of made me realize it's a fun part of the game. And for me as a person, as a leader guy, I guess, I've always liked to help guys around me, actually, to make me better and to help them get better also. So it's that aspect is so fun. Try to, when you see somebody who you can help, make it to the next level, it's really a rewarding feeling. So coaching for me, and I guess I like the pressure also. I've always been a guy who likes who likes the pressure on playing. I think until my last game in pro hockey, I always, felt the butterfly before my game. So, there's nowhere else but than a coach, and to be a coach to get those butterflies.
Next, we'll go to Brian Toasty. Brian?
Hey, Max. You talked about getting to know Neil and getting to know him, but it's got to help with the familiarity to the city, Scott, Travis. So how does knowing those guys and kind of building the transition to becoming a coach change for you in the transition? Does it make it easier?
For sure. I mean, when you get to, well, first as a hockey player, once you move to a new city, it's always kind of hard to move to a new city where you don't know anyone, and it's kind of starting back to ground zero. And for me to be back in Austin, where we were there for 6 years, two of my kids were born in Texas, so it's almost like a second home away from home. And so that, for us, we were so good, and we had so many good times in Austin that we know the city, we know people, and not even just in the hockey world, we know so many people around town, from our kids going to school. And so you meet so many good different people outside of our hockey world, and to be able to work with a guy like Travis, with who I was really, really close when I was there too. And, we stay really good friends. And we talk also. We've talked often in the last couple of years, even if we were apart. So it's always a fun feeling. For sure it makes it better and way more comfortable to be in a city like this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Next, we'll go back to Stephen. Stephen?
Hey, Max, just building off of Brian's question a little bit. How does the family feel about going back to Texas? Getting back and maybe having a little bit of a more established routine there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, my kids are really. I guess I got two younger kids, which for them, it's still got to do a lot of explaining. But my oldest, who's 14 now, it's showing a lot of maturity about it. And for us, it was really important for them to know and understand the situation and kind of get their input on it, and making sure that they knew what was coming up. And I think everybody's really excited about being able to live in Texas again. It's such a beautiful place, and like I said, my wife has always has always loved that city. She was there, and I always tell people she would live there forever if she could, even from a little French girl who's from Northern Canada. So for her to like a city like Austin kind of says a lot about this city. So it's I think we're all excited about this opportunity.
And then just building on that, have you had an opportunity to think at all about, I know when you were here, your kids, Travis Morin's kids, Toby Peterson's kids all participated in youth sports here, trying to build up the local hockey scene. Have you thought about your involvement there and what you want to do in the Cedar Park area to continue to grow the sport?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think I think the Texas Stars did a really good thing when they moved to Austin, just to try and build that hockey community, and I think it's grown a lot over the years. I know I got really close during those years to Angie Schneider, who's kind of running the program over there. So I actually talked to her a couple of days ago also, and just to see how she was doing and how the program was doing over there. But yeah, for sure, my kids are going to be involved in youth sport, and for me, every time I would have to get on the ice with those kids, it's trying to build that community and build the sport and push the sport in a city like Austin.